What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Behind Show. And today is April 20th, 2021, 420. And on today's episode, we'll be doing two Cincinnati Bengals summer mock drafts. And joining me is a special guest, Blake Jewell. How you doing today, Blake?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Doing really good. Excited to get into this Bengals mock draft. And for those of you who don't know, me and Blake used to do a Bengals podcast. We were able to interview quite a bit of people. Bengals legend Kenny Anderson, lots of draft prospects from last season, and you're doing your own podcast. You actually write. So before we get started, can you kind of tell some of the listeners what you do, where they can find you on social media, and the things you're currently doing?
Yeah, so I'm writing for Sports Illustrated All Bengals with James Rapine. I have articles a couple a week. I got a lot coming up since the draft's coming up here soon. And then I do a podcast with the Who They Talk podcast with 4 other co-hosts. So we're looking to get that kind of going here soon. So that's kind of what I'm up to. You can find me at Blake Jewell NFL on pretty much anything.
Yeah, it's really cool writing everything. I also have your podcast. And so we'll go ahead and get this Bengals mock draft here just in a moment. Something to look into what we do this mock draft. This is from ProFootballNetwork.com and their mock draft simulator. We're not doing PFF. Their PFS is kind of inconsistent. Can you see my screen all right? So let's see here. So the first 4 picks are Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Matt Jones, and surprisingly, the Atlanta Falcons take Penei Sewell at number 4. That's a major surprise. We're offered a trade offer. We go back 2 spots. We get a second-round pick from the Detroit Lions. We also have 2 other trade offers. We trade our first and our third, and we get the Bears' first and second this year and next year. And there's no trade offer. We trade our first-round pick and our 4th-round pick for Washington's first and second this year, and also their first-round pick in the 2022 season next year. So, is there any of those trades interest you? Maybe we should consider doing those.
I think the Lions one is pretty intriguing. I know it's only another second-round pick, but I would feel a lot more comfortable doing that with Sewell on the board. But since he's gone, I think, in terms of realism, I think they would still take Jamar Chase here. But that Lions pick is really tempting. You got Pitts, Chase, Slater. If you trade back, you're guaranteed at least one of them. And I don't know. I'm not sure if the Lions. I think with Lance and Fields on the board, I think the Lions would take probably. Even though they just traded for Jared Goff, I think they would like a younger quarterback. So I think that they would probably go quarterback, and then you'd probably be guaranteed Pitts or Chase at that point.
Yeah, I would personally really like it if they did this trade. Realistically, it's probably not likely to happen. So would you be all right if we accepted this trade here?
Yeah, that's cool.
So we go back 5 to 7, and we get the Detroit Lions second-round pick. I really don't even think we should be looking at trade offers. I mean, we're at number 7. Jamar Chase is still available, and we got a second-round pick. All right, so we're going to take Chase here at number 7.
Yeah, I think you definitely take Chase.
That is very unrealistic. I mean, I don't think the Eagles will trade back, but if you're able to trade back and you're still able to get Chase, Sewell, or Pitts, that is a 100% best case scenario. If you're able to trade back and still get any of those top 3 players. So here with our second-round pick, we're offered a trade offer. Go back 10 spots. We get the Raiders' third-round pick next season. And there's a trade offer with the Ravens. We go back 20 spots. We get their second. We swap second-round picks, and we get their, I believe, 6th-round pick and their second-round pick next season. So you're going to should we accept one of those, or do you think we should just draft best player?
I think you sit with your 2 second-round picks you got here. They're pretty good ones, just so good players on the board. I think that's what you go with, just sticking where you're at.
Definitely. I don't think. I mean, the Ravens to me, I really don't think they'll offer us anything because it's very uncommon for teams to trade that are in the same division. And we're picking 38th here, and we took Jamar Chase. We got him at 7, which is just incredible. Who are some players you're kind of looking at here in the second round that you'll be interested in?
Well, if this were how it would be, I mean, Greg Rousseau, I don't think there's a chance he's there, but that would be very tempting. But I think going Jamar Chase, round 1, Alex Leatherwood is my favorite option for the Bengals in the second round. So I think he would be the pick at 38 just to get that extra line support.
Yeah, I would be perfectly fine with Leatherwood taking him at 38. I think that's probably the best offensive tackle available. And realistically, I think it's looking more likely that this is kind of a scenario that could happen. Not the trade back, but us getting Chase in the first and Alex Leatherwood with the second round pick, 38th overall. So we'll take Leatherwood at 38. And we also have a second round pick due to that trade back. The Detroit Lions. There's a couple of trade offers here. Something kind of intrigues me. We go back 6 spots with the Los Angeles Chargers. We traded them our 7th round pick, and they give us their 4th round pick. Would you accept that, or do you think we should just draft a player here?
I think I would do that because there's still good players on the board. I think I would go back 6 spots and move up quite a bit with that second pick.
Yeah, to me, I mean, you kind of look back. We've traded quite a couple of times past several years in the second round, and with us probably going to take Chase at 5, with us taking a offensive tackle, offensive lineman in general at 38. Instead of us reaching, I think it's a possibility we may see us actually back in the second round instead of reaching for the best lineman available. So trade offer here, I don't really think any of those would work out too well. So pick 47, me, I mean, just looking on the big board here, person who stands out the most, in my opinion, is probably guard from Ohio State, Wyatt Davis. Asante Samuel Jr., I really think he should be gone here. I know we signed quite a few corners in free agency, but that's me. Those are probably the best 2 players available. You kind of look at here at 47.
My eyes would be on the edge rushers and Landon Dickerson if he's available. I know you already took an offensive lineman, but you can get. I think they have to draft 2 in this draft anyway. You've already took Leatherwood. Dickerson would be on my board there, and but I think I would take a serious look at edge rushers here, and I'm not sure who's available. Their ratings are a little bit different than mine. There's some guys that they might have a little later that I would consider best player available here. Maybe not actually. So yeah, I would either go Wyatt Davis or Landon Dickerson here. I think. I mean, you're gonna have to probably get 2 offensive linemen anyway. So I think why not get 2 pretty good ones?
Yeah, I would be fine with either one of those players. Edge rushers. To me, this edge rushing class is comparable to last year's wide receiver class. It is the best group in the draft, in my opinion. And I think it's could kind of relate to last season. I mean, if you remember last year, there was quite a few teams who did not draft the wide receiver early because they want to get one in the later rounds because, I mean, the wide receiver depth last year was so phenomenal. I think that's kind of the same thing this year. I think some teams may not take edge rushers early because, I mean, if you can get a Patrick Jones in the 3rd or 4th or something like that, Peyton Turner, I mean, I'm going on draft boards now because it's final pro day. But I'm really interested in this edge rushing class. And you mentioned Wyatt Davis or Landon Dickerson. We'll go Wyatt Davis here. I think that's a phenomenal pick, and so far this mock draft has been. If this were to happen, this would be really great for us. So as we go to the third round here. We have two trade offers. We could trade our third and our seventh next year for the Colts. I believe their fourth and their third and fourth next year, and then we also have another trade offer. We would trade swap picks with the Kansas City Chiefs. We would go back 4 spots. We would also trade them our sixth round pick this year, and we would get our fourth next year. Are any of those trades kind of intriguing to you, or do you think we should just stay put?
I think you stay put because I already know who I would take here with this pick. So I think I would stay put.
Who's the player to you that you want to take?
I think if you get in the third and he's there, I think you got to take Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech. Uh, if he was there, I wouldn't even, unless I got some kind of trade that was ridiculous. I would take Milton Williams in the third round.
Yeah, Milton Williams is available, and he's a player as well. I also like it quite a bit. Um, yeah, there's Eckenberg still available, Josh Myers, but we didn't really need those positions. Peyton Turner, Devion Nixon, and Jabril Cox are still available. So with that, being a defensive big board, are you still going to take Milton Williams?
Yeah, he's I mean, I like Peyton Turner and I like Nixon. Milton Williams is just higher on my board than both of them, and I think in the third round, unless someone big somehow falls, I think Milton Williams is probably going to be the best defensive player available on the board in the third round if he's there. He might even go second round.
Yeah, the Bengals are interested in him. He's going up draft board quite a bit. Milton Williams at 69 would be a really nice pick. And to me, as we go to the fourth round, I kind of talked about the edge rushing class. Some people, um, there's some edge rushers who, some like quite a bit. We also have a third round pick here. I don't know how. Um, so a trade offer is we go back 1 spot and we get the Saints' fifth round pick next year. I really don't like this trade. Would you accept this, or do you think we should just stay put?
I don't know what I would do if I were in that situation. I would consider it depending who I liked on the board, but I think without really knowing, I think it's just not a very good trade. I think if you were a team that was like really confident in who you're going to pick and you didn't think the Saints were going to pick them, I think nothing wrong with picking up an extra fifth. But in this case, I don't really think it's a good trade.
Yeah, to me, pick 97. I don't understand why he's so low on people's on PFN's big board and PFFs. But looking here, who are some players that you're kind of interested in the 97th pick overall?
At this point, I would be looking for Patrick Jones. I think you're going to get an edge rusher at some point. Got Milton Williams, but I think Patrick Jones would definitely be my pick here. On offense, you kind of went at offensive line early, so I think getting an edge rusher, Patrick Jones, that would be my pick here. And in the next rounds, that kind of frees up your next couple rounds to where you can take just who you're most confident in.
Yeah, that was what I was looking at going, to our next pick. He's not my number one edge rusher, but he is my favorite edge rusher. I would be absolutely stoked if we were able to get him in the third or fourth. And I really don't understand why he's so low on PFFs and PFNs. Big board. If we're able to get Patrick Jones here to 96 overall, that's a A+ pick to me. That's absolutely best player available in a team league. Anytime it happens, that is absolutely best case scenario. Who are some players you're kind of looking at here as we go into the fourth round?
Like I said, I think I would be looking at the top players available here because you got edge rushers, you got an edge rusher, you got D tackle, you got your receiver, you got offensive line. I think at this point, maybe you could maybe even go back and look at edge rushers or see who's there at corner. I think that they could go back and at offense at a receiver though too, because they need a little speed. Um, need a little more speed. I think Rashid would be a good pick here. Amir Smith Marset, or Jalen Darden. I think would be my top three options here. Would be Marset, Darden, and actually take a look at tight end. Just I want to see who's there. I think it's a little early for Quentin Morris, but he would be definitely on my board coming up. But I think the best bet here would be to maybe grab a faster receiver. Jamar Chase is fast, but just like a deep threat receiver. And then you could also look at maybe adding your second edge rusher here since it's a good class, Rashid, or I think probably Jalen Darden would be a good pick here. It seems like a reach on PFN, but I think he would be a pretty solid pick right here.
Yeah, Darden, he's my favorite wide receiver prospect. And I know this is kind of sounds crazy. I think he has potential to be the next Tyreek Hill. Look at their size, they're comparable, their speed. I mean, Darden is absolutely, so quick. After the catch, you don't know what he's going to do. He's going to juke the defender out. So explosive. I really, really like Jalen Darden. And getting him at the 111th pick, some may say that's a reach. I personally think that's a nice pick. So we'll take Darden here at 111. And, this Bengals mock draft so far is just continuing. It seems like each round we're getting a pick that's, A-plus pick continually. And as we go to round 5 here, we'll offer the trade offer. We move back 17 spots. The Tennessee Titans would give us 2 6th-round picks as well. And we would give them their 7th round. We would give them our 7th pick next season. Do you think we should accept that trade?
No, I think I would stick here and get my second edge rusher at this point.
Is there a certain edge rusher you're kind of looking at here as we go to round 5?
I got Shaka Toney in my mind. I think if he's there, that would be a good one to put. It has him as a reach here, but on my board, he's in the top 100. So according to my board, it would be a little bit of a steal. But I know some people would probably view that as a little bit of a reach. But I think you're going to need 2 edge rushers. I like Sample and I like Golson. And even Janarius Robinson's pretty good. But I think Shaka Toney's the best edge rusher available, and this is a really good class. I think this is where I would take Toney.
Yeah, Shaka Toney is somebody I also really like here in round 5. If we're able to get him, that's phenomenal. This is another player where I don't understand why he's so low on PFN's big board. That's a fantastic pick. We're just adding to the fantastic young defense we're creating. The defensive line. We're getting Shaka Toney, Patrick Jones, Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech. Really starting to have a young, nice defense throughout this draft. And we've also had got some nice young offensive players in this draft as well. So we're offered a trade offer. We move back 2 spots. We give them our 7th-round pick next season, and the Cowboys give us a 6th-round pick this year. Should we accept that one, or do you think we should stay put?
I think I would stay put. I don't think I wouldn't really be too interested in another late pick this year. This point, I would be looking at a running back or a tight end or a corner. Those are specific, or safety. Just you're gonna have to add a little more depth at safety. So I think I would check out who's here at safety. Richard LeCount. I think that I can't believe he's still there because he's really high on my board. I would take him here for sure. You're gonna need more depth at safety. LeCount in the 6th round is a fantastic pick.
So we'll take LeCount here in round 6. Jacoby Stevens was just picked a couple of picks before us. Jacoby Stevens, despite playing at LSU, to me, I think he's severely underrated. That's another safety I would love to get. Maybe around this pick. Thompson from San Diego State. Be happy with any 3 of those safeties. And you did mention running back. There's three running backs I really like in the later rounds. Jamin Hawkins, Elijah Mitchell, but I believe he's already been picked, and Brandon Knox. Be happy with any of those running backs. And, I know we already took Chase and Jalen Darden, so I know we're not going to take him here. But I just don't understand how Shavon Grimes is so low. We're at the past the 200th pick and he's still available. To me, that's just absolutely crazy. But who you kind of looking at here with our second sixth round pick?
I would go kicker. If McPherson's there, he would be my pick. I think the Bengals are going to have to draft a kicker this year, and McPherson's my favorite from Florida. I would take him. I know it seems like a little bit of reach on here, but kind of later in the 6 rounds where teams are kind of maybe looking at kickers. So I think I would go ahead and pick up my kicker here because you'd need one. I think the Bengals have to draft one this year, so I think this is where I would take the kicker.
McPherson from Florida, definitely one of the best kickers in the draft. We're taking here at 202. So we have one pick remaining. For this final pick, who's somebody that you're really looking at here?
I would go back and hope that I think we traded it. I just remembered.
Well, never mind. So who's some like seventh round guys or like sixth round guys, in your opinion, that would absolutely be steals for us if we get in the late rounds?
Trey Walker from San Jose State, fast receiver, underrated. Went to a smaller school. I think he's pretty solid. Then you got some running backs. I like Larry Roundtree, Raheem Boyd. I kind of like the offensive players later, but there's also some corners like Elijah Griffin, or could even look at I don't know if Kerry Vincent will make it that far. He's pretty solid. Safeties, um, Diablo is down there. He's pretty good. I think trying to think of who else would be there. Chris Rumpf, edge rusher. Malcolm Kuntz, edge rusher. And I think there's even, I can't think off the top of my head, but I know there's some defensive tackles that I think just would be solid depth, late round picks. So I think there's some players available later that would be pretty nice picks.
Yeah, to me, some of the sixth and seventh round guys, like I said, Jevin Hawkins, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Knox, running back. You mentioned Trey Walker. I like him quite a bit. Also, Jonathan Adams Jr. from Arkansas State. Jacoby Stevens, he was already picked, but I like him quite a bit. Chris Rumpf, I like him a lot. Ron Jackson, South Carolina, I like him a lot too. But overall, I thought this mock draft was extremely good. Um, I really like I said, Teron Jackson. You mentioned Chris Rumpf as well, Jacoby Stevens. Some of those running backs, like I mentioned, Knox, Sherwood Hawkins, Elijah Mitchell. Um, you mentioned Trey Walker, like him quite a bit. Jonathan Adams Jr. from Arkansas State. Be happy with any of those guys, six or seventh round. But it's not letting me scroll down here. But we took Jamar Chase in the first. We traded back 7. Those 2 second round picks. We took Alex Leatherwood and White Davis. In the third, we took Milton Williams. We also got a third round pick involved. We got Patrick Jones, and I don't know why it's not letting me scroll down. But I thought this mock draft was very good. What would you give this mock draft out of 10?
I would give it probably a 9, 9.2, 9.3, somewhere like that. I think it got about addressed all the needs. I liked all the players. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think 9.2 is about perfect grade for it. I think it's a really good draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, I would probably give this a 9 or 9.5. Trading back to 7, getting an extra second, and still getting Jamar Chase. That is absolutely ridiculous. We got best player available. Literally, I would say it every single pick, in my opinion, just about every single pick. So, of this, how many wins do you think this team could get this season?
I think the offensive line would be a lot better. I think you'd have more of a pass rush. Milton Williams, Patrick Jones, Joe Burrow gets another weapon. Jamar Chase, Jalen Darden could even play a little bit, add some more speed. So the offense is looking better. You're getting a pass rush. I think this team would win out of 17 games. I'm looking at probably honestly I'd be looking at 9 or 10 just because the two biggest issues, if these players work out like we think they will, the two biggest issues would be fixed: offensive line and the pass rush. So I think with all your young players that played a big role last year, with them getting healthy, or with them developing a little bit, Joe Burrow getting healthy, Reeder, Waynes, with everybody starting the season off healthy, and your young players getting an off season to develop, I think this team would be much improved.
This draft was phenomenal. I think this team could get around 9 or so wins, especially with the extra game going to a 17 game schedule instead of 16. I think we'll be in contention for a wild card spot if this were to happen. This is just absolutely, I would say, best case scenario. I don't see us getting a better draft than this. If this were to happen, I mean, this is just great for us offensively and defensively. We're getting our team needs, like you mentioned. We're getting the best player available. Some of these guys may not be, big contributors on our team right now, but they can be big pieces in our team in the future, like a guy like Patrick Jones or Jalen Darden. But I thought this mock draft went really well. As if you're just tuning in, we're doing a Bengals summer mock draft from ProFootballNetwork.com, or mock draft simulator. We just finished up our first one. It's very, very good. Really, I'm not going to say realistic because I don't think it would trade back, but I think it was really, really just amazing what players we were able to get. So we start this second seven round mock draft. Top 4 picks are quarterbacks: Trevor Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and Lance. We have some trade offers here. Um, the Colts would give us their first and second, and their first, third, and sixth next year. The Lions would go back. We would go back 2 spots and do a second next year. And the Chargers would move back 8 spots, get their third, and get a second next season. Are any of these trades? Are you interested in any of these trades? Do you think we should stay put?
I think I would stay put here. I'm not. I think the Chargers would need to offer. I think pick 13, a second, their first next year, and maybe even a second or third next year as well.
So with the first 4 picks being quarterbacks, um, so Sewell, Pitts, and Chase are still available. All 3 of those guys. Who out of the 3? Who do you like the most, and who do you think the Bengals should take here at 5?
Um, I think the Bengals are gonna take Jamar Chase if these 3 are available. Um, I've kind of limited myself down from. I kind of think Pitts is off the table from what I've been hearing and seeing, but Pitts is probably my favorite prospect out of the 3. Um, I have him the highest rated on my board out of the 3, and so honestly, if you're going best player available, I think Pitts would be my personal pick. But I think Chase and Sewell is kind of a toss up of who to take here, and I think even with Pitts, it would be kind of a toss up, just who it's more preference. Because even though he's I have Pitts higher on my board, I think any of the 3, uh, any of those 3 are going to help the team a lot. I think the debate's kind of gone from being, you know, who are the Bengals going to take that's going to help the team the most. I think it's gone from that to here's who I think they should take, and it's just kind of people are wanting to be right about it, but I think honestly, I don't think anyone can really be wrong. I think any of the Sewell, Pitts, or Chase, I think whoever they take, it's going to work out. They're going to be a good pick, and I think the argument's kind of a little useless because I mean all three players are great players.
You mentioned you had Pitts kind of rated higher than any of those three. Out of the three, I like Kyle Pitts the most, and out of the three, it's not even close to me. I mean, you look at prospects. I think he might be the best prospect, not just pass catcher. I think he might just be the best prospect in the draft in general. I think going to a career standpoint, looking back, once they're drafted in their careers, I think Pitts will have the best career out of the three. Out of the three, I know I kind of think it's the safest pick, but realistically, I don't think we'll even draft him. It's not a guarantee that he's even going to be at 5. I mean, he's just absolutely phenomenal. I know for months it seems like ever since it was announced the Bengals were going to have the 5th pick, fans have been debating whether it's going to be Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase at 5. I've never really understood why people are not talking about Chase at 5 enough. You did mention he may go to Atlanta at number 4, but if we're going best player available, I really think it's Kyle Pitts here, and it's not really close. Also, kind of trying to stay realistic here. So, if we're going between Sewell or Chase, who do you think the Bengals should take here?
Well, I would go in this mock draft. I would go Sewell just because we went Chase in the first one, so I think kind of get a little variety going here. Do like go with 2 different routes in these 2 mock drafts.
Yeah, when I do mock drafts, I don't really like doing the same player in the first round every single pick. Each time I do a mock draft, I know I've done quite a bit of mock drafts, having the Bengals take Kyle Pitts, and lots of people are not happy about that. Trying to be realistic. Chase is better, Sewell's better, all that stuff. I really think Kyle Pitts needs to be talked about more at 5. I know it's probably not going to happen though. But if we go to round 2, offered a trade offer with the Green Bay Packers and the Seahawks. To me, these trades are not really good. You think, these are worth trade back, or do you think we should stay put?
I would stay put here.
So in round 2, us taking Penei Sewell, who are some players you're kind of looking at here? In round 2, if the Bengals take Penei Sewell, I think it's a lot more. With us taking Sewell in the first round, we're not pressured in taking a certain position. If we take Chase or Pitts at 5, I feel like we're kind of more pressured and guilted and forced to take an offensive lineman at 38. But with us taking Sewell in the first, who are some players you're looking at here in the second?
I think you made a good point with not really being pressured to take anything. I think that at this point, I would go Jalen Phillips and get an edge rusher. I know he has some issues with concussions, but really high on my board. I think he'd be a fantastic pick here. You don't have to reach for a wide receiver. I think wide receiver would be the route I would go in the 3rd round. So I think right here I would go Jalen Phillips and kind of worry about receiver in the coming rounds. Wouldn't focus too much on it right here.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips at 38 is a very nice player. It's not. He can maybe end up being a first-round pick. Going into this draft season, Gregory Rousseau opted out of the season, and he was going to be a first-round pick. Jalen Phillips, the opposite other edge rusher for the Miami Hurricanes, may even end up jumping Rousseau where he is drafted. And we go to round 3, we're offered trade offers. One's the Minnesota Vikings. One is the Denver Broncos. I personally don't think these trades are good at all. Do you think we should stay put here?
Yeah, I would stay put at pick 69.
So in the 3rd round, who is the players you're kind of looking at or really hoping we maybe end up with?
Landon Dickerson would be a fantastic pick at 69. Even though they took Sewell, Landon Dickerson's a great prospect. I don't really see him being there at all at pick 69, but if he is, that's 10 out of 10 pick. I'd be looking at wide receivers. Monroe St. Brown, really good. I think you're gonna need a little speed. I think in this scenario, I think I would go, since they went Sewell and Phillips, I think I would go Dwayne Eskridge or Landon Dickerson here. Either one I think would be a good pick. I think Dickerson would be a better pick. Eskridge would be a really good pick as well.
Either of those picks I'd be happy with. Dickerson, I don't think he'll be available. Eskridge, it was really strange, there was a point where I saw a couple of people have him going very, very close to the first round. That hype's kind of fallen away from Eskridge, now he's going kind of not as high as he was, like I say, a month ago, but still pretty good for a guy, from Western Michigan. Had a very impressive time at the Senior Bowl. We'll go Eskridge here. I think it's a little bit more realistic. I mean, Landon Dickerson in the third round is A plus pick. You're not going to get much better than that. But trying to stay realistic. I mean, Dickerson though he could maybe end up being a first round pick. Getting him in a third would absolutely be insane. So we're having a fourth round pick here. I mean, I know we already took him. I really like Patrick Jones, but I don't want to take him here because we took him in our first mock draft. Who are some players you're kind of looking at here as we go into round 4?
I'd be looking at maybe going back to offensive line, seeing who's there. Like I said earlier, I think you got to go offensive line twice, and tackle class is really good. I think it has a little bit of a drop off after round 2. So round 3 and 4, you're a little bit, there's not as much talent on the board. I really like Drew Dahlman at 111. I think he would be a great pick. I know he's a center, but I think you're gonna have to get some interior help as well on top of Sewell. So I think Drew Dahlman would be my pick here.
Center we could really use some material line help around 4. That's a pretty good pick. People talk about a tackle position. The Bengals desperately need tackle. They need Sewell, but I really think the interior offensive line is much more pressing need than tackle. So we take up a center here as we go to the 4th. As we get in the 5th round, we are not offered a trade offer. 5th round, to me, some people I'm kind of looking at are Jalen Tallman, the defensive tackle from Pittsburgh. I'm really surprised he's still available. Marvin Wilson, Darius Stills, any of those 3 defensive tackles, I would be absolutely ecstatic about. Those are probably my 3, some of my favorite later round prospects. I like quite a bit. Let's see here. So who are some players you're kind of looking at here in round 5?
Yeah, I think I would go back on defensive line. I think I would probably. I really like Jalen Twyman. I think I would take him with this pick in round 5. Marvin Wilson, I think, was also would be a really good pick, but I think they've been kind of bouncing back and forth on my board. But I think Twyman is mine. I like Twyman over Wilson, so I think I would go with either. I think I would go Twyman or Stills here, but in this case, I think Twyman would be my pick.
Any of those 3 defense tackles to me at 149th pick overall, I would give that pick an A+. You look at Jalen Tallman, from Pittsburgh, look at his people who have compared him to. People who compared him to Aaron Donald and Geno Atkins. Look at their build and their size. They're very comparable. He's very comparable to both of those players. His film, he's very underrated. I know when the Bengals drafted Reno Wren a couple years ago, people kind of compared him to Geno Atkins, but he's been able to stay healthy. But Jalen Tallman to me at 149 is phenomenal. So with our next pick, who are some players you're kind of looking at here?
I would go back and look at receivers again. I think you got Eskridge, but Frank Darby would be a good one. Matter Bebe would be he's more in line with their scheme. Um, those are two really good ones. Terry from Florida State. So I think there's some good underrated receivers on the board right now, and they would probably be my favorites. And then I kind of got an idea of which way I would go the rest of this draft by who's on the board. So I think either either Matter Bebe or Darby would be my pick here.
Yeah, I really think, even if we take Chase at 5, let's say, we take Sewell at 5 and we take an offensive line, and we take Sewell at 5 and we take a wide receiver in a second or something like that. I really like the idea of us taking 2 wide receivers because, this wide receiver class is still pretty talented. It's not nearly as good as last year's. Last year's, really look back, and that's going to be historical. But, yeah, getting a wide receiver here, with a 6th round is a pretty nice pick. Did you say Frank Darby here?
I actually think I'd prefer Matter Bebe a little bit from Illinois. I think you got faster with Eskridge, so I think I would go with him just as another good option.
So that was our first 6th round pick. Our second 6th round pick, somebody I'm really like here is Javion Hawkins, the running back of Louisville. Jacoby Stevens, the safety from LSU. Who are some players you're looking at here?
I would be looking at Hawkins as well. Chris Rumpf. I think he would be my favorite for this pick right here. Larry Roundtree. So yeah, I think Rumpf is my favorite here at 202.
Either one of those players to me, I think it's an A+ pick. I don't understand. I kind of was doing similar mock drafts for each of the team, and I did a mock draft the other day and had a team take Chris Rumpf. It's kind of talking about. I don't understand why Chris Rumpf is so low on some people's boards, but in a way I kind of get it because the wide receiver class, for instance, with the wide receiver class being so loaded, there's going to be teams who have a completely different big board than some other teams, and I feel like that might be the same with Chris Rumpf. His edge rushing class is so loaded that lots of teams they're going to have a huge mixed big board and as a edge rusher. So I don't understand why Chris Rumpf is so low. But it kind of goes back to this because this edge rushing class is so talented. If this was a normal year, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Chris Rumpf going in the 4th or something like that. But with this edge rushing class being so talented, it really has some of these good guys going later rounds. So we have one final pick. Here's our 7th round pick, and I know he took Chris Rumpf, but I really like Joel Jackson here. See some other players. Trey Walker, like him a lot. Jonathan Adams, Arkansas State. I like Brendan Knox, Marshall quite a bit. And, he was already picked. But I was going to say Felipe Franks. What's this? Matt Bushman, I think he's available. I like him quite a bit. So who's the players you're kind of looking at here with our final pick of this mock draft?
I think, as I said earlier, I think you got to take a kicker, and since we haven't taken one yet, since we've not taken the same position, I think Riley Patterson, or the kicker from Miami. I think I really like Riley Patterson. He would be probably second on my board after McPherson.
So we'll take kicker here with our last pick. Mock draft, and overall, I thought both these mock drafts were extremely well. The first mock draft we traded back, and I got some extra picks, and this mock draft, despite not trading back, was still very, very good. Kind of going back to this first mock draft. Out of 10, what would you give this one?
Probably 8.5, almost a 9, somewhere in there. I don't like it as much as the other one, but I think it's a lot more realistic, and I think I think it also gets your needs, your attacks the Bengals' needs as well.
Yeah, I would probably give this one an 8. Despite not being as high as the first one. The first one is kind of more unrealistic, but trading back, who knows if we're offered some crazy deal. Despite no trades in this one, I still like this one quite a bit. I think this team could win 8 or 9 games this season. How many wins do you think this team could get?
I would also say about 8 or 9. Probably, I think 8 would be my guess.
I think both of these mock drafts, either one of these would have happened. I think this would be really good for Bengal fans because we're getting some great players on the offense side of the ball and the defense side of the ball. We're getting our team needs. We're getting best player available. And some of these guys, they might not have immediate impacts, but I really think they'll have some key major roles in this Bengals, throughout the Bengals in years to come. Especially, Jalen Tolman there with 149th pick. So this was kind of 2 Cincinnati Bengals 7-round mock drafts. So, Blake, can you tell some of the listeners who can follow you on social media?
Yeah, about you can follow me about anywhere at Blake Jewell NFL. And I'm working on maybe getting my Instagram started a little bit. So it'll probably be the same at Blake Jewell NFL on Instagram as well.
Make sure to go follow Blake on Instagram, Twitter, and his, some of his articles. But all those things in the description below. Thank you so much for listening. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you next time on Sports 200.